Happy Friday, everybody. I wanted to talk to you today about being in a relationship and also being in real estate. There are so many factors to being in real estate and being in a relationship. One of them is let's start from the beginning and let's consider right at when you are a young person and you are living with parents and you are trying to go on your own and become independent. So right at that moment, uh, the way to get out and become independent is to search for your own housing and go on your own. And normally, when you're going on your own, you either have to become, find some roommates to split the cost, or you can also get married to split the cost. Years ago, I was in a relationship, and of course, coming out of a Middle Eastern background, um, parents were not so keen about the dating situation, and so my partner at the time said, "Well, let's. So your parents don't like us to date, so how about we get married?" And my parents are in a union because we were in New York, and New York unions are very strong. And so we said, okay, well, if we get married, we get a subsidized apartment within the union, and that way we can start our life. So that's how we decided to get married. We basically decided to get married so that we can get into a sort of a rent control apartment situation, and that's how we started our lives, and it worked out just fine. So that's one of those situations where you can get into a marriage to basically supplement your real estate life or portfolio per se as well. Right now we're in a situation where real estate is very expensive, and there's a lot of people that talk about the fact that real estate is unaffordable. Well, one of those ways to get it more affordable is actually to basically marry your resources. And when I'm saying marry your resources, doesn't necessarily mean that you get married, but it means that you can go in together as two partners, and it could be just financial partners, but two is stronger than one. So if you're combining your resources, then you have more of a budget to get into the housing market, or be it that you're going to rent or be it that you're going to buy. Your resources are going to be that much more. For example, I was talking to a couple, and they were saying that each one is living in a one-bedroom apartment, and each one is paying $2,500 towards their rent. And so they decided to move in together, and as a result, their budget is now doubled to $5,000 a month. And rather than living in one-bedroom apartments, now they have combined their resources, and they're able to purchase, or in this case, they were looking to rent. So they're able to look into getting a house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $5,000 a month, which is definitely doable even in the pricey San Diego market. So combining resources and basically getting into a more favorable real estate holding is definitely something that I'm not going to say should be the goal, but definitely is something that comes with when you combine resources. Now let's look at the other end of it. When you're in a situation where working together, either as partners or as married partners, is no longer an option, then in that case, the reverse needs to happen. you're basically trying to separate the resources, and each goes their own way. And when you are doing that, and when you are separating resources and going your way, you're basically doing the opposite of what we talked. And when you are splitting your resources, then normally you're coming up with not as much financial ability, not as much financial freedom as you had before when you were working together as partners. And oftentimes, if you are looking, they say that the wealthiest of people in the society are usually partners, and because they were able to combine their resources, they were able to build their resources, and over time, that compound effect has helped them to be in a more financially stable situation. And now, if you tear that apart, of course, you're going to lose some of that financial stability. Now, let's look at how to protect yourself sometimes the only option, unfortunately, is to make that split. So in that situation, you want to make sure that if you're going your each individual way, that you're protecting yourself and your assets that way. In my opinion, the best way to protect your assets is as helpful as attorneys are. It is to protect your resources, it's best to try to avoid them because they're certainly very expensive. And and if you're trying to preserve your resources, you certainly don't want to pay attorneys with a lot of fees. But sometimes it's difficult not to use attorneys because you want to make sure that your rights are protected, and no one can protect your rights when you are in a difficult situation, and the only one that can fight for your rights is the attorney. So assuming that you are able to get into an amicable situation, and you have the fortune to be able to separate your assets and your resources from your previous partner and each go your way. If you are not bound by a marriage, then things are a little bit more simple at that point. You can amicably split things apart and each go your way. But if you are in a marriage, you want to make sure that the marriage is effectively resolved before you get into another purchase. For example, a purchase of a home, purchase of a vehicle, purchase of an asset with a considerable amount of value. Because if you haven't properly gotten to the end of that divorce, then you still have your partner have their hand in your cookie jar, and that's not a good thing. You always want to make sure that the partnership is completely dissolved before you move on and acquire new assets for yourself, or for the remaining family that you have with you. So there you have it, the good, bad, and the ugly in terms of real estate, and in terms of marriages or partnerships, however you want to look at it. You want to make sure that you get into a situation knowing what you're doing. And I don't want to say you want to calculate things, but you definitely want to plan things and make sure that you set things up correctly, so that you're in a stable situation. If there are kids involved, that you make sure that the kids are in a stable situation, and avoid getting into a situation where there's instability, or God forbid, bankruptcy, or any of the getting into a lot of debt, or things that are generally not very pleasant to go through if you are in a stressful situation. So there you have it. All the advice that I have on this subject for you. If you have any questions about any of these topics that we talked about, please feel free to reach out to me. If you're watching this on YouTube, I appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up or leave your comments. I'm always happy to answer them. And if again you're watching this on YouTube, I also appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Again, my name is Roxanne Govari, and I'm your expert realtor. I sell real estate in the San Diego, California area, but I have my connections all over the country. So if you have any real estate questions, please feel free to contact me. There is my phone number. And there is my website. And again, feel free to reach out to me. And my email address, if you like to send me an email, I'm always happy to hear from you. And I also like to hang out on Instagram. So there is my Instagram handle. And I appreciate it if you give me a follow. And have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching.